All right, welcome back to the Dr. Jimbo Love Show featuring Seth Matthews. Seth is taking a little bit of a hiatus. He's really busy with the bar and won't be up today. So we've got Patrick the Picker, our main man, our betting source, who will be with us this afternoon, and he will be giving us some excellent lines on games and some of his insight as a betting guru that he is. Jimmy the Greek, were you
a little bit about it.
Okay. I was just saying, he's not.
My time,
you're not related to him.
There's actually a horse kind of named after him, horse race.
Okay. All right.
By the way, don't we look good? We were just talking before we went on air. Clean shave, hair did. We kind of always match. We never planned this, by the way. Hockey jerseys this week. I took a couple weeks off. We had the holiday, and I had boys' weekend last weekend. We had football, NHL games, and it was just not conceivable that I could make it. But the week before that, we both wore the USA for the soccer, and that wasn't planned.
Nope.
We're just a good-looking couple. Maybe if our picks can get a little better, we'll get a couple more viewers.
Maybe we'll make some money on our picks. Big news this week. We had a couple different things happen. Of course, we called it here first that Deion Sanders would be hired at CU. That did come to fruition officially after the final game at Jackson State. What are your feelings on Deion? Do you think he can bring his brand of football here and really help? I mean, he can't hurt CU at this point.
He's going to. I mean, he told the kids, "You don't like it, leave." I mean, it was kind of a bust the door open entry, if you will.
Yep.
I do think that they can bring talent there. Colorado's a place that everybody wants to move. Boulder's just right up the street here. I mean, it's truly just northern Denver, if you will. But yeah, they could. And the Boulder program, like I said, couldn't get any worse this year. I mean, they were plus 30 points in almost every game they played this year. For a team that used to be pretty good.
Oh yeah, they had a pathway of NFL players. A lot of them ended up in Pittsburgh. So I got a chance to know a lot of these guys that came from here. Cordell Stewart, Chad Brown, a couple of those guys back in the day. Also, too, we've got a game that's on right now. We'll bring you some updates. It looks like Ferris State. This is the national championship between Colorado School of Mine and Ferris State. Ferris State is from Great Rapids, or Big Rapids, Michigan. The score right now is 7-0. Ferris State scored early.
Just started.
Yep. Colorado School of Mines won a semifinal game. We'll talk a little bit about that against a pretty tough school, Shepherd, out of West Virginia.
What division are we talking about?
Division II. Division II, NCAA Division II, and it's big because Golden is, basically the town just west of Denver, and so we're just going to give them a couple updates.
So we have NCAA with the bowl games, and then the division under, like the games last night, was North Dakota State, kind of like the 1A. So they have a playoff, and then similar in Division II, they have a playoff. So a little different than the bowl system, kind of similar to the 1 through 4 playoff. So you have Division I, Division 1A essentially, Division II. So kind of 3 different brackets of tiers of talent. All division NCAA sports, just different tiers, kind of like junior college, if you will, or Division III for hockey.
Yep. Good point. Good point to bring up to let everybody know, getting us all straightened out here. On a sad note, Mike Leach, the coach for Mississippi State, he was formerly at Texas Tech. He was up at Washington State University. Passed away at 61.
61, heart attack, the king of gummies, loved his candy, and a big pirate guy actually is what I found out. A lot of tributes to him. Sad time. I guess we didn't really talk about this before here. The guy who is actually taking over him, Arnett, is the Albuquerque kid. Played at my rival high school. Was a big guy.
Right
Still
on.
looks pretty big. So that's kind of a side note on the Leach thing. So good for him.
Yep.
I think everybody's a little bit in shock, and all during the week there was a lot of tributes from all the sports land, ESPN especially, and bringing on some of his friends and cohorts and whatnot. But
yeah, he's a funny guy. A lot of
interesting, very interesting.
He's the one who really didn't invent the air raid offense, but really perfected it on a collegiate level. And they were always pass happy. Those teams back with Texas Tech back in the day, were really tough. He had a couple teams that were 11-win season teams.
He kind of turned into what colleges for the high-scoring, the spread offense. He was kind of the bridge, if you will, from what you see today. Back then, it wasn't. He was kind of the originator. His teams were down in Tech.
Absolutely.
He brought it up there to Washington State, and Minshew was his quarterback. You know, his kind of pride and joy that they had a good run there and went over to Pro Ball. And 61 heart attack.
Yep, unfortunate. And then lastly, of course, we don't want to forget Caleb Williams from USC received the Heisman Trophy. Remember, he is the Oklahoma transfer. He went with Lincoln Riley. And Lincoln Riley, the coach for USC, continues to be the quarterback whisperer with 3 now Heisman Trophy quarterbacks. Pretty cool. We have 6 bowl games today. We're going to highlight the 6 that are playing today. We had 2 of them that played last night. We'll talk a little bit about those games. College hockey had a limited slate this week. You know, a lot of them are either finals weeks or they're off for Christmas vacation. But we had 2 upsets. Minnesota State, Mankato, number 16, lost to Bemidji. And Lake Superior beats Michigan Tech. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Now, DU kind of coasted easily, beating Linwood. Is it Linwood, New Jersey? Or no, it's Lindenwood, I believe. Yep. Let me make sure I've got
this is all news to me. I'm letting him take the hockey this week. I was on the road working after the holiday. Yep. I'm going to break. We're going to do Bowl Mania without overkilling you guys, trying to get through as many games and a few games this week. And Bowl Mania started yesterday. We'll go through a couple of those real quick.
Yep, and remember, Bowl Mania lasts through January 9th with the national championship game. So you're going to have plenty of football for the next 2 weeks.
Plenty of wagering opportunities. Got to wake up early. The first one today, 9 a.m. Mountain Time, 11 Eastern, Fenway Bowl. Got to be up and at 'em if you want to get your wages in.
Absolutely, and we'll be talking about that game in Fenway, which is Cincinnati versus Louisville. That game is at the half right now, 21-7 Louisville. We'll talk a little bit about the NFL. Patrick is going to go through his picks, rapid-fire picks. We're going to do that right at the end, so make sure you stay tuned to find out the lines for tomorrow and for also some of the NFL games that are today. There are
3 Saturday. So Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday's moving forward. So, again, the slate is all week. You got college basketball, you got hockey. It's hard to keep up. But with all that going on, you're going to get good spreads. So you got to be. He calls it Patrick the Picker, Tricks Picks, whatever you want. Just don't call me the D with the ick, okay?
Yes, Tricks Picks 4121 on Instagram if you want to follow Patrick.
That's right.
All right. The other thing we'll talk a little bit about is Cooper Kupp and his injury. He had a high ankle sprain. He's going to shut it down for the rest of the season. Remember, he was the offensive MVP last year.
The Rams need to just shut it down.
Yeah, the Rams are.
But Baker Mania doesn't think that.
Kyler Murray is also out for the season with an ACL injury, so that's not good news there. In our female portion for today, we are going to focus on girls high school wrestling here in the state of Colorado. It has been a sanctioned sport for the past 2 years with an introductory season 3 seasons ago. Alex Morgan, this 110-pound senior out of Loveland, she is 55-0. Has not lost yet to a female, and she will be trying to get that elusive 4th state title, which will add her to 30 other people in Colorado state history, high school boys, who have won 4 state championships. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's move into yesterday's games. Now,
get into it.
Did you get a chance to watch UAB versus Miami, Ohio?
I pretty much hit all 3 games. I did not get a chance to watch a little bit of the North Dakota State end game, but the 2 actual bowl games, again, this is the bowl games. UAB, Miami, Ohio. I liked Miami, Ohio, plus the points. They ended up covering. UAB, it was actually a really exciting game. Came down to last 5-10 yards at the end of the game. UAB was an interesting choice because the guy who took over was in a little bit of a battle with the new coach.
Interesting.
God, what's his name? The Ravens. The Ravens.
Jim Harbaugh?
No. He used to play NFL ball. So there was a little, are they going to keep the coach or were they going to go new? And they went new. And so he was on the sideline trying to stay out of the way. Pardon me for drawing a blank. But,
all right. Well, just the game kind of went like this. UAB scores 10 points in the first quarter and then scores another 14 points in the fourth quarter. That ends up being your 24 points. It was 24-20 UAB. UAB was 7-6 coming into the game. Miami of Ohio was 6-10. So these are two very bottom-feeding bowl teams, and UAB ends up finishing and winning the game. Hopkins for UAB was 16 for 24, 204 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Brown Jr. had 116 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. Next game was the number 23.
Trent Dilfer is taking over as the coach, so it was kind of a bittersweet ending for who was in charge there. I think they thought they were going to hire him, and they went to Trent Dilfer. He was on the side. It was kind of weird. Miami was able to take kind of advantage of ball possession turnovers, and UAB actually had to come back late and win the game. The spread was kind of in control most of the game, and then UAB was kind of shifting it.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one. We have number 23, Troy, versus UTSA, which is University of Texas San Antonio. That game ended up finishing 18-12. Troy pulls it out. It was both teams were 2-loss teams that squared off. It was 12-7 at halftime. Very close game. Troy State ended up intercepting a ball in the end zone at halftime. That would have been interesting to see if it would have been 14-12. Troy shut out UTSA in the second half and ended up pulling out a victory. Really close game.
On paper, it was supposed to be over. It was about 56, I believe, and a half. That was one of the 3 games, again, the 2 bowl games, and then North Dakota State was hosting in the Division 1A last night. That was my best bet, and then it ended up being a way under. And all 3 games yesterday actually went under. The next game was a Division 1A with the over-under at 70.5. And it really should have gone over at the end. I mean, they had 7 minutes to really get another score, but held on. Very defensive battle. What happened was Troy had 4 times on defense, 4, that they got a turnover. And I think the fourth one they finally scored. They had 3 times where they got a turnover and could not produce points. But if you look at the backtracks of their record, or the final scores of the game, all the games very high scoring, and UTSA was giving up points at an alarming rate. So the month off and we'll see how this works I think with the transfer portal this year. Sometimes you see with the month off, there's a lot more preparation. You either think defense or offense, and they were able to, with all the changes with the transfer portal, with the going to the NFL draft, you may start seeing some unders this year in the bowl game, which is they usually kind of go over because a little sloppy early on, but these teams put a defensive battle fight, a lot of turnovers, a lot of times they got in the red zone, and we're not able to produce points.
No, it was a great game to watch. Like I said, two-loss teams that face each other. Both were 11-2 at the time, so really high-quality football early on in this bowl season. All right, let's move on to the 6 games we have today. The first one kicked off at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time in Fenway Park at the Boston Bowl. It's called the Fenway Bowl.
The Wasabi Fenway.
The Wasabi. Cincinnati 9-3 versus 7-5 Louisville. Louisville was favored by 2. What did it go down to 1.5?
Yeah, about 1.5.
So it's basically a pick'em.
Yeah.
38.5 was the over/under. Both schools lost their last game the week before. Cincinnati lost to Toledo, and Louisville lost to Kansas, I believe. So
we'll try to break it down as quick as possible because we do have a lot to get through.
Yeah, exactly.
The Cincy coach left. Luke Fickle went to Wisconsin, took a new job. The Louisville coach, Scott Sutterfield, went to Cincy. And again, he mentioned it earlier off air. They're right down the road. So when you have a coach going to the team that you're playing in the bowl game, there's going to create a little animosity. And that's kind of what you're seeing in the halftime score as Louisville is up. The the CB and the special teams coach took over for Cincy for the bowl game. And interesting to me that I read, I didn't realize he was the director of player development down there, but Deion Branch actually took over as the head coach for the game, and Louisville hired Jeff Brom. They had 3 players from Louisville go to the NFL draft: quarterback, running back, and cornerback. Quarterback, running back, cornerback. And Cincy had wide receiver, tight end, and their first team All-American cornerback transferred in the transfer portal in Maryland. So you're going to see this in a lot of the game. You got, especially the higher level, the top 25. There's a lot going on that you got to keep up with. Cincy did have their first team cornerback, Ivan, in the game. It was the first bowl game at Fenway. They had the last game was supposed to be SMU Virginia, got postponed due to COVID. The field barely fit in there on the one corner, so by the, I guess, center field, it was a tight fit over there. I saw that this morning. I like Cincy, but the score's not, it's 21-7 Louisville, and still 21-7 as I looked. It's kind of one of those things when you leave your players and you kind of got this whatever, and Deion Branch, he's just a pro ball player. Probably got him riled up. We'll see if anything happens in the second half.
Very good, very good. All right, let's move on to the Las Vegas Bowl. And we've got Florida that's 6-6 out of the SEC versus number 17 Oregon State, who's 9-3, coming off a big victory against Oregon, knocked Oregon out of all contention. Oregon has never beaten an SEC school. They are 0-11-1. Looking for their first, never won, haven't won, no.
Cool.
Looking for their first 10-win season since 06. The Gators beat number 7 Utah in the first game of the season. Remember that. They also beat my Gamecocks pretty handily. So Florida's not a horrible team. Watch for Damon Martinez, the running back for Oregon State. Also, Florida's got an interesting situation going on. Their first-string quarterback, Anthony Richards, decided to sit out this game in lieu of the NFL draft. Their second-string quarterback, Kitna, is dismissed for some kind of an arrest.
Child pornography arrest.
Was it child pornography?
He's not in a good situation. He's in big trouble.
And let's hope he's not related to John Kitna, who was a former Seattle Seahawks quarterback. So we have a third-string redshirt freshman, Jack Miller, starting for Florida. This game, the line was -8.5. I just saw recently it dropped to -7.5.
Yeah, it was 8.5. Went down to 8 last night, 7.5 this morning. A little bit, he's right on. The doctor was doing his research. He's right on with all that. The starter is actually a third-year sophomore, so he got redshirted, Jack Miller. He was supposed to, he came from Ohio State, so he was a transfer from Ohio State. He was behind C.J. Stroud. He was really supposed to be the backup and then kind of the new starter after.
He's a sophomore? I thought he was a freshman.
Third-year sophomore redshirted. So he got his red shirt out of Ohio State.
But he's got 3 more years of eligibility.
Yeah, well, he's got at least 2 more, if not a third. That's kind of how they grant
COVID, yeah.
They grant him whatever years of eligibility based off their classes. He was supposed to be the backup this year. He had a thumb injury in August, and that's how Kidner got moved up to 2. He kind of slid into 3, and they're at this position now where they claim he's 100% healthy. And I look to him to have a lot to prove. He's supposed to be the starter unless anybody else in the transfer portal comes up, because I don't see anybody unless they have a freshman that's going to take his job. And I mean, he got recruited by Ohio State. He just don't want to play behind C.J. Stroud, so he probably saw this as his loop to get into the lineup for maybe the next 2 years for a big-time SEC program that just hasn't been pretty much relevant. We have more opt-outs on the other side. On Florida. All SEC guard. Torrance is going to the pros. Linebacker Miller, wide receiver Shorter. So Florida, as always, is producing NFL talent. 3 guys sitting out, as well as the quarterback. I always like SEC against the Pac-12. We talked about Oregon State pretty heavily on one of the Friday night games. Yep. The freshman has like 6 games over 100 yards. They can run the ball. The quarterback's a good game manager, can throw it. And my bets, I liked him at 8.5. It's going to 7.5, so that's telling you where Vegas is going. 7.5 is but I still like Florida. I'll go at Florida. The game is, the Vegas Bowl said, will be at Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. So awesome venue.
Absolutely. I am going to go with Oregon State just because of the momentum, and I think this quarterback's going to have more than he can handle coming off the bench, especially being a third stringer. And I guess not a freshman, but a sophomore, as we were talking about. So,
yeah.
All right, let's go to the LA Bowl. Washington State 7-5 versus Fresno State 9-4. Fresno State is a 4-point favorite. This game kicks off at 1:30 our time. Fresno has won 8 of its last games, including the Mountain West Championship over Boise State last week. Washington State beat Wisconsin early on. One of the reasons why Wisconsin fired their coach mid-season was because of that loss. And they lost a tough game to Oregon, 44-41. So, Washington State can play. This I look to be a very competitive game. It'll be fun to watch. And we want to remind you, we are at the Shops of Northfield, the mezzanine section at Brothers Bar and Grill. Come on down. It's easy to make it here by 1:30 this afternoon. There's drink specials all over the place. They have brand new TVs here. The TVs are 10-inch bigger than they were in the past. They're so much clearer. And so we've got things going on down here. Patrick, let me throw it to you. What are your feelings on the Washington State Fresno State game?
LA Bowl for these kids is cool, especially for Fresno, who went out. So Boise State was the loser of that. The winner of this gets to go to SoFi Stadium. So awesome, state-of-the-art stadium. Fresno went from 1-4 to 8-4, so quite a turnaround over there. I love my Mountain West. It's just kind of a thing of mine growing up in Albuquerque. A couple things to talk about. Washington State linebacker, all Pac-12 first team, is an opt-out today, so that will hurt them. Their defensive coordinator for Washington State also went and took the head coaching job at ASU, so that will be some effects there. If you break down the actual game, I do think that Fresno, I like to lean that way with that, but if you watch Washington State played good teams this year, and they played them tough out of all the Pac-12. They played Washington, they played USC, Oregon, they played them all tough. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm leaning with the 4.5 as a closer game, but it would not surprise me if Fresno covers. In my picks, I did it's up to 4.5. I did Washington State 4.5. My heart's rooting for the Mountain West and Fresno to get a big win in a cool stadium, but it's a couple extra points for a team. I just don't think the Mountain West competition has been. The top of the Mountain West is not as equal as the top of the Pac-12 or nowhere near. So that's why I'm doing the 4.5. Again, you're losing a linebacker, you're losing your D coordinator. Head coach is excited to call plays today, though. He will be calling the defensive plays.
Right on. So you're going with Washington State. I'm going to go with Fresno State. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think that they just continue with their march. They're on a roll. They've won 8 straight. So let's see if they can continue it today.
That's where the money's trending.
Lending Tree Bowl. Okay, now Patrick and I talked a little bit about this kind of off camera, and this is Rice 5-7 versus Southern Miss 6-6. Southern Miss, if you remember, that's where Brett Favre hails from. But I mean, really, the biggest thing for these two teams is they get 15 extra practices and a small paycheck. What are your feelings on this game?
Well, Rice technically isn't bowl eligible. They're 5-7 team, so it goes to academics, and so whoever has the highest, essentially GPA. So Rice opted in because of their academics to play in this game. The game is in Mobile, Alabama. That's where the Lending Tree Bowl is. Again, academic eligible. One thing to note, Southern Miss running back Frank Gore Jr. So everybody knows Frank Gore Jr. He's running the ball for Southern Miss. Rice is best player essentially in terms of awards. Is All Conference USA second, and it is their center. So that's a good person to have as your best player, is the center. I'm leaning Rice at 6.5. It's 45.5. I'm leaning under. This is just kind of one of the maybe boring or not so good team games, in my opinion. So we won't spend a whole lot of time. Wouldn't surprise me if Southern Miss covers. Again, these teams are playing. I don't think there's anything to really play for. I'm going under 45.5. I'm leaning with Rice. It wouldn't surprise me to go either direction. Very soft hands.
I'll go with Southern Miss. Just for old Brett Favre.
He's just going against me today. I think we've gone against almost every game we made a pick.
All right, hey, we are going to talk about the New Mexico Bowl.
That's what I'm interested in.
It's being played at Patrick's old high school. No, just kidding. It's actually being played
my home city, but at the College Barn.
I'm kidding you. It's Albuquerque, and it's at the University Stadium. SMU is 7-5, and BYU is 7-5. BYU quarterback Jaron Hill will not play today. They're saying he's still a game-time decision. His ankle. He's passed for 3,200 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. If he does play, I pick BYU, but as of right now, it looks like SMU is a -3.5, and 64 is the over/under. Is that what you've got?
It's 4.5, depending where you get it. The over/under I do not have written, so I'm going to go with you, 64.5. I can pull it up on my phone. I've been looking at this one all week. I like BYU in this game. BYU is a trend team this year. They went from good to horrible. I mean bad. They lost to Notre Dame and it kind of tanked after that. Their last 3 to 4 games are really good coming in. They got a good coach. I think both teams will be ready to play. I think SMU is not as. I just don't think they're as good as. I mean, they're supposed to have a high prolific offense. I just don't think it's going to happen against BYU. Something to note: SMU wide receiver Rice. He's kind of injured his toe, but he's opting out. He's going to the NFL draft, so that's kind of their best player. So I think you coordinate all that and the points. This is one of my games I really like. If you can get them at 4.5, even better. I've seen people taking them just money line, just throwing the money line out there. But I will go BYU New Mexico Bowl at Lobo Stadium against SMU.
Yeah, I'm taking BYU, so I'm with you on board with that
I'm
game
going
too.
a lot of dogs, and it's going to be a trend of a lot of the bowl season for me.
All right, and our last game that we'll feature today is the Miami Beach Bowl, which is North Texas at 7-6 versus Boise State, which is 9-4, and Boise State's coming off a tough loss to Fresno State.
Frisco Bowl. They're in Frisco, Texas.
I thought it was the Miami Bowl.
No, Frisco. They're down in Frisco.
The Miami Beach Bowl.
I'll double check it right now.
Check it right now.
They're in Frisco. That way we're on the same page.
Yep. North Texas has a 5-game losing streak in bowls. Is it
Frisco Bowl?
Interesting. Wonder why it said that on my feed was wrong on my phone this morning. All right, North Texas again with the 5-game losing streak in bowls. They've lost to UTSA. Boise State lost to Fresno State 28-16 last week. Watch for Talon Green for Boise State. He is the Mountain West Freshman Player of the Year. He came in after Game 4. The quarterback for Boise State decided he wanted to enter the transfer portal. And this kid is 7-2 as a starter. He has 1,905 yards passing, 13 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Not bad for a freshman.
Yeah. The North Texas head coach got fired, so something to note there. There'll be another replacement coach. Again, you're noticing the trends with coaches, players, NFL, portal, all that fun stuff. The line to me, so I read a lot about it. I'm a Mount West guy. Boise State had beaten Fresno State earlier in the year. So they lose this game. Instead of going to SoFi and playing a Pac-12 in a bigger game, they are kind of going down to a lower level game in Frisco, Texas. The coach went out and said, this is a good team. And if you look at North Texas, they played some decent competition in their division, albeit that. But they could put up points. 10.5 to me, I just wrote in my notes, I said 10.5 may be too many. I think Boise is coming out to kick their, I think they're
they've got something to prove.
But I still think 10.5 is maybe a little too much. If I'm betting this game and I put them in some parlays that are already active right now, I just did a money line. I think the money line, if you're doing parlays, is safe. 10.5 is too much to me. I'm buying it maybe down to 6.5 and stuff like that. But again, you're not going to make a whole lot of money that way. My heart says Boise. My brain says North Texas covers 10.5.
Okay.
So not a super strong field, but if you're in the action or doing parlays, that's kind of how I'm doing this.
Okay, excellent. And I'm going to take Boise State money line. And so I'm buying it all the way down.
Okay.
I'm going to buy it all the way down, and then we'll see what happens. Although, actually, I think, second thought, I am not. No, I think Boise State's going to come out angry. I think this 10.5, they're going to cover. I think this is going to be a blowout. I really do. I'm just looking at some of my other notes that I have in here. And so I'm going to go that way. All right. Well, let's talk real quick here about Patrick. We're gonna pick Patrick's brain here. We've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week. There's a host of games. We'll start with the Monday matchup: Marshall versus UConn. Any feelings on that game, and what are the lines? Do you have any of that information?
I do.
Okay.
UConn right now it went down from 11 to 10.5. They are dogs. The game is the Myrtle Beach Bowl, so it's in Myrtle Beach.
Okay. Conway, South Carolina.
Yep. And Marshall had a big win against Notre Dame. They've gone bowling, so they've been in the bowl games 11 of the last 14 years. They've lost the last 3 years, so not a good trend there. This is their first season in the Sun Belt Conference, so they had changed conference. One of the top defenses by stats in the college football the whole year. Again, their big win against Notre Dame at Notre Dame, so that one hurt me being a fan. My buddy loves Marshall in this game. Jim Moore is the UConn coach, and he's turned that. They won their 3 before losing to Liberty. They won 5 of their 7. And if you look at their beginning of their schedule, they played Syracuse when Syracuse was going undefeated. They played Michigan, which is in the top 4 for the college football playoffs. And they played NC State, who's been a top 25, top 15 team all year. I think Jim Moore covers this 10.5. The more I look at it, the more I like UConn. My buddy is also a capper. He loves Marshall, so we're kind of hitting it together. Vinny down in Colorado Springs, he's going Marshall. I love UConn here. And if you look at the games with Marshall, they are all close games. They play a lot of good defense, but their point spreads haven't been more than 10, 15. I think UConn gets a couple things here. They run the ball pretty decent. I think Jim Moore turns this program around. Okay. And that almost, the more I talk about it, the more I'm talking myself into a love.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's do these last one games. Let's do it rapid fire because we're running short on time.
I only did research on one more game of the rapid fire. I'll give you my feels. I did Eastern Michigan, San Jose State.
That's the famous Idaho Bowl.
And they've actually played. They met in 1987 in the California Bowl. I'm leaning Eastern Michigan 3.5. I think it'll be a close game. I think both teams will be really close. Again, I am a Mountain West guy. I think the lower tier of the Mountain West isn't that good. I think you're getting more of a decent to upper tier of that conference. And it's in the Idaho Potato Bowl.
Yep, it's nice.
Eastern Michigan.
The Smurf turf. All right, Boca Bowl is Liberty versus Toledo. Any feelings on that?
I'm just going to go with the feeler here. No research. It is.
I like Liberty.
You know what? And Liberty's 4.5 right now. Give and take on what sites are going on. Liberty to me just fell apart, but they did win the last game or 2 of the year. Again, I hadn't done my research. I'm going to go Toledo. It's 4.5. I really would go more towards the money line, again, if you're doing parlays and stuff. Again, more research needs to be done, but at my early looks, Toledo, 4.5. And he's going with
I'm going to go with Liberty, big time. All right, just going to list the last 4 games, and that's Western Kentucky versus Alabama on Wednesday. The Armed Forces Bowl, which is Baylor versus our Air Force, just from down the way. Friday, we have the Independence Bowl, which is Louisiana versus Houston. And then we have the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, Wake Forest versus Mizzou. So we'll talk a little bit about those next week. Remember, we're going to do a Christmas Eve show. Are you going to be in town? A week from Saturday.
TBD. D-Bird's got his birthday, and I'm off the books right now, but I may be. So okay. TBD. Hopefully we can.
If he's not here, you'll have me for sure.
There's also a game on Wednesday, so we'll throw that on the next week's slate. That's Western Kentucky, Southern Alabama, and the New Orleans Bowl. We'll try to get all those out to you. And we've talked about shifting the show a little bit earlier in the week. It's just schedules and whatnot.
We may be able to do that.
We got to move on to the next topic, which is
college hockey. College hockey. All right, top 10 or top 25 or top 20, which is the DCU/USCHO rankings. We've got DU at number 1, Quinnipiac number 2, Minnesota Golden Gophers 3, St. Cloud Huskies at 4, Penn State and Indy Lions at 5, and then we move to the bottom tier, and that is 6 through 10 Merrimack out of Massachusetts, Michigan, BU, Harvard, and UConn. 2 notable teams that are not in are North Dakota or Cornell are not ranked right now. Notre Dame Patrick's Notre Dame is ranked 19th.
They've been
They are
hanging right there.
8-2.
They just been hanging right there.
So, last night we had our first, one of the games is DU versus Lindenwood. Lindenwood is a small university out of St. Charles, Missouri. And they have 30 Division I sports. We're going to talk a little bit about this. Morgan, the female wrestler, she actually is going to be going to this school as a wrestler, believe it or not. DU just handed them, just ran all over them. The game was at Magnus Arena here in town. DU outshot them 34-19, ended up winning 5-0. Linwood was very much outclassed, by a number one team. Matter of fact, DU did not even have their number one goalie in goal. They had Matt Davis in goal, who had 19 saves, which is nice to know that Magnus Corona has a good backup in case he ever does get injured or nicked up in a game. We can bring in Davis.
Wore your jersey today, your sweater?
I wore this because I had a funny feeling that you were wearing something hockey.
Mine's weird though, so I'm wearing my hockey sweater but with my Yanks because we got the Judge back, and that's a lot of money. Rondon signed, and hopefully it's a lot of things going on in the MLB hot market.
Yeah,
that's why I wore
mainly
it.
I read it. I wore this just because
out here today.
Yeah, because we're ranked number one in the nation, so I figured about that. And I say we, meaning Denver, because it's a hometown team. Again, Cornell is my favorite hockey team for sure. Other scores. Okay, we had some upsets. We had Bemidji State at 4-1 against Minnesota State Mankato. So that was a nice upset for them. Minnesota State is 16th. Also, Lake Superior wins 3-0 versus number 7 Michigan Tech. So those are two upsets. Some other games that also were in the books: St. Thomas 7, Ferris State 4, Alaska versus Alaska Anchorage 4-0 Alaska, and then number 14 Ohio State played Bowling Green to a 5-2 victory.
Those two teams have been traveling a lot this year.
Which one?
Alaska Anchorage.
Oh, well, yeah.
They've been putting on some miles.
Yeah, you figure if you're in Hawaii or Alaska, you're going to have to travel.
Go check them out. I'm going up to Alaska last weekend of January. I might have to go check out their barn. I might be on the tube. We have the rental car. We're going for Beer Fest. I might be on the bucket list. I'm writing it down now.
I saw that on your Facebook page that you had gone to Hanover, New Hampshire, and you went and saw Dartmouth's barn.
Yeah, we did. I tried to sneak in. I went for a wedding, and the bride's dad and I are always up to no good. We're like kind of besties and golfers. And we tried to sneak into the barn. It didn't work out so well. But I was able to get me a Dartmouth hockey shirt that if it ever warms up in Denver, I'll wear it again.
It was a prison shirt from the campus police jail.
Yeah.
But other than that, it looks good on you.
I've worn it once. I got to wear it again, I suppose.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about the game that's going on right now, which is Colorado School of Mines, who's number 2 in the nation, Division II, versus Ferris State. And we're in the second quarter. There's 14 and a half minutes left. Ferris State looks like they're driving right now. They are inside their 20 as this gentleman finishes up his play. Looks like they're going to be down on the 21-yard line. They are up 7-0 versus School of Mines. Guys, School of Mines is a small school right over here in Golden. They started the season out 0-2. They lost to Grand Valley State. And some of you may remember Grand Valley State. That's where Jerry Rice played his college football. They lost 25-22, 3 points, keep that in mind. And then the next week they lost to Angelo State 20-27. Then they rattled off 12 straight victories. It's going to be interesting because Ferris State is the defending national champions. They beat Western Florida 38-17 last week in order to get in. And as I said earlier, Colorado School of Mines ended up beating Shepherd out of West Virginia pretty handily here in Golden. 3 big players for Mines to watch as a quarterback. John Manacha, he has 50 touchdowns so far this season, 6 interceptions with 4,570 yards passing. That is a career. That is career numbers right there. The running back, Michael Zima, has 1,277 yards, 21 touchdowns, and the wide receiver Max McLeod, 75 receptions, 1,462 yards, 18 touchdowns. Those three guys need to have a big game today, as well as the Mines defense. It looks like it's going to be 4th and 9, and it looks like they're going to have held Ferris State to a field goal. Ferris State has two quarterbacks, Mitchell and Glucker. One is a rushing quarterback, and the other is a passing quarterback in a sense. And boy, that ball went right through Ferris State's hands on a 3rd down, which would have put them up 14-0.
A little bit of a dive, but definitely a catch and a touchdown. And in a low-scoring game, we're going for the field goal, so that'll change things.
Yep, hopefully we're going to be at 10-0 here in just a second. We're going to have the snap here. I'll let you know whether it goes through. Looks like it's going to be good.
In McKinney, Texas, this place looks cool. I've never seen it.
Yep, it's not bad. I'm not sure who plays here normally, but it's a good day, and it's a good place for a Division II national championship.
Is your brother going to the Armed Forces Bowl again this year? Isn't it at the New Texas Ranger? Wasn't it your brother that went?
My brother-in-law. Yes.
They got a lot of cool places down in Texas. His brother, last year at the new Texas Ranger Stadium, it was the Armed Forces Bowl.
Yes.
Just thought of that.
Yes,
sorry.
so Mike,
sorry, just off topic.
Michael Davis, who is my brother-in-law, he works security for both the Dallas Cowboys and also for any game that goes to the Texas Stadium and the Texas Ranger Stadium as well. So yeah, he's at a lot of different games. He's on the sideline. We end up looking for him on TV most days. We ask him which sideline he's on, and then we can usually pick him out. So, way to go, Michael.
Go, Mike.
All right. Before we go into the NFL pick'ems, let's talk a little bit about this Morgan Johnson, who's our girls wrestling just top girl in the state.
She's a beast.
She is, yeah. Well, she's 110 pounds. Has not lost a match against another female since her freshman year. She's been undefeated her whole high school career at 55-0. 30 wrestlers have won 4 state championships in Colorado State history, and each one of them finished the feat as a senior. They were all treated to these long ovations at the end of their career. Morgan Johnson is hoping to have that happen as well. One thing about her was that her freshman year, it was a pilot program, so we're just hoping that Colorado State Athletics will look at her high school sports and award her, because as a freshman, she had no other option. So if she won it as a freshman, we should count that, even if it is, in a sense, an asterisk year. It made Johnson a little mad, which is not good. A mad Johnson is trouble for the rest of the field. The Loveland Star pinned her opponent in 4 of her 6 sanctioned state tournament matches over the past 2 years, with her closest competition coming as a 9-1 major decision in the finals as a sophomore. The budding star is on the national circuit. Johnson has yet to be beaten by another girl in Colorado with a glitzy 55-0 record. So we want to wish her luck. She is signed already to go to Division I powerhouse, which is Lindenwood, the university that incidentally is playing against played against DU in hockey this weekend. All right. So, how much time we got here?
All time in the world.
All right.
Who doesn't have time is our first bet of the day, our first NFL game, the Vikes, because it looks bad right now.
Well, let's do that. Let's start with today, the games that are today.
Yeah.
The Vikings. Go ahead, Patrick. I'm going to let you go ahead and take this segment.
I'm just going to give you live odds here. We'll get the picks from Jim, whether he likes money line or spreads. You know, that's what we do here.
I'm going to do spreads.
Vikings went off at 3.5. They're the morning game. We got 3 Saturday games. So, let's go. Thursday real quick. Niners win again. They clinch it with Purdy. Purdy, the Mr. Irrelevant, Ohio State kid. And look out for Niners. They're playing good ball. That moves Seattle out, and that's going to help the NFC East potentially claim 3 playoff spots. The Niners covered the spread handily that game. The game going on right now, first game, 11 a.m. Mountain start, was Vikings at -3.5. And I think people were licking their chops at the money line or the 3.5. Indy is up 20-0. 20-0. Turnovers We have 10:40 left in the second, so there's plenty of time left.
I'm looking down at the Minnesota fans, and they're all like
It's as quiet as a pin drop in here because 4th and one, they got stuffed. 4th and 1 just happened on a fake punt by the Vikings, and they dropped it. It wasn't complete. And here comes Indy for another field goal. So this is going to be 4. I liked the money line in a lot of my parlays, and I would take it down to 3 if I was betting it, because we've got to be honest here. This is the honest bet. Right now, I think everybody has their jaws on the floor. If you went Indy and you took points, you're doing pretty well. But we'll move on to the afternoon game. These are all on the NFL Network today. 3 Saturday NFL Network games. Browns are at home. It's supposed to be some weather, some snow possibly. I haven't seen the field yet. It was 3, 2.5, back to 3 right now. Ravens Huntley is in the lineup today. Cleared concussion protocol. I am going to go with the Ravens in the very big rivalry game in Cleveland today.
Okay, I'm taking the Ravens as well.
So he's getting, right now we're going to take the live look at 3. We're both going to get 3. Buffalo Bills, Dolphins. Dolphins coming off a not good loss in, cross country one thing, but not a good loss to them. They're starting to maybe look a little like we like to call them the frauds. Bills are -7. Bills look like they're taking a little hair of money right now. It's supposed to be a nor'easter up there, anywhere between 1 to a couple feet of snow. And the coach was walking around with the Bills, and they're all talking about, can you play in the cold, can you whatnot. Give me the Bills -7, the over-under 43.5. I'm going under.
I'll go under as well. I think that's smart with the weather, and I'm taking the Bills.
Okay, then we're going to move right into our Sunday games, which has, so we have a lot of Sunday games. Every team is playing this week, and then on Monday we'll have one game. First game we'll talk about Falcons at New Orleans. The Saints are now up to -4. New Orleans is taking money. Atlanta is playing with a rookie quarterback this week, Riddler from Cincy. Mariota doesn't seem to be, something's going on there. He opted for surgery. He did not want to be the backup. Something sneaky about me tells me Falcons in this game. I'm going to take the +4.
Okay.
With the rookie quarterback, it could be a disaster for him though. Rookie quarterbacks is tough to play, and New Orleans is a tough place to play. +4 Falcons.
All right, and I'm going to take New Orleans on this one because they are the home team.
Jets and Lions, the game was a pick-em. They are going to, Mike White did not clear doctor's orders this week, so the Jets QB carousel continues, and Mr. Wilson is back in there. The Jets have taken a point since I last looked. I'm riding the Lions right now. I think the Jets are there. They just need to figure out the quarterback thing, and something's going on with Wilson. I don't know if they want to play. He may come out and surprise us and play like the pick they thought, but I'm going to go. I'm taking a lot of road teams, which isn't very good this time of year, but I'm going with the Lions on the road.
Lions on the road, and I'm taking the Lions as well.
It's essentially a pick-em. I got him +1 right now. It'll go pick-em +1 depending where the money finishes tomorrow.
They came off a big win last week, so let's see.
The Texans +14.5 at home almost upset the Cowboys last week. The Chiefs -14.5 coming over underwhelming second half. I was at the game last week. They're up 23, not to 27, nothing. And they did not cover the spread, so that tells you what the second half was. I think the Chiefs are going to try to come in here and roll, but the Chiefs haven't covered. I have really no feel in this game. You could take the 14.5 and be very happy with it. Starting running back, it looks like he's going to be out for the Texans. Pierce looks like you're going to get Rex Head and the third string in there. That's just fantasy implications, I guess. Chiefs, I don't know, 2 touchdowns?
Well, 2 plus another half.
If I took Chiefs, I'd have to buy it down to 14.
Yeah,
I'd have to buy it down to 14. You know? That's a lot of money in Pro Bowl, but the problem is the Texans are probably one of the worst teams in football. When you talk about the bottom of the barrel and win-loss, this is a game I wouldn't touch. That's just my honest opinion. If you go with the Chiefs, they're either going to kill them, or you just go with the Texans and hope they get a couple scores and kind of ends up like last week with that. Really no feel. If I'm going to lean one way, if you put a gun to my head, I would take the Chiefs 14, and I do not love it at all.
Okay, and I would buy him down to 13 and then keep the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs can win by 2 touchdowns against them.
Bears +9 against the Eagles. Eagles rolling. Bears kind of. I'm just gonna go Bears +9. I think the Eagles can roll them. I'll go Bears +9.
I'll do Bears +9 at home as well. Let's keep that pace.
Steelers and Panthers. Steelers are going to doubtful with Pickett. Probably going to get Rudolph in there. Yeah. Panthers at home, I see. Panthers rolling a little bit. I like Steelers earlier in the week, and now without him, I'm like, but I'm still going to stick with my Steelers. His Steelers +3.
I'm going with the Steelers too. I think Mason Rudolph comes off and then ends up playing a pretty good game. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. So let's see what happens. Look for Najee Harris to have a big game out of the backfield. And let's
been playing better lately.
Yes.
Been playing better. The whole team. Since the bye week, they've been playing better. Jacksonville at home against the Cowboys +4.5. It's gone up from 4. At 4, a lot of the cappers were calling it a great bet on the Cowboys. I am also going to go with the Cowboys. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jaguars cover. I really not. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys 4.5. If you could buy it down, if you're one of those people, buy it down to 4 and 3, whatever you got to do, money line.
Cowboys here too.
Broncos, Cardinals, horrible game on Sunday here. My buddy's going to it with his wife. Broncos are now -1.5. Both teams will be with backup quarterbacks. Russell Wilson is out. He already told you Murray's out for the year. I'm going Broncos. I think the Broncos are playing better, and honestly, I don't think Wilson being out is going to hurt a lot of the team's feelings. I'm going with the backup, and I'm the Broncos.
I'm going to pick the Broncos too because they're home, and I think without Kyler Murray, Arizona's in big trouble.
Raiders, Patriots -1.5. Raiders are actually taking money. Kind of odd. I don't know. Patriots, I just don't think people trust their offense, but the Patriots seem to be in every game. Flip a coin. I mean, really. I did in my pick'em league. I took the Patriots, but when a trend shows you something like that with the Raiders, you might want to go with the Raiders. So for the show and for shits and giggles, I'm going Raiders. That's right up there with the Chiefs game. I'd stay the hell away from it.
Right. I like the Raiders in this game too.
Soft lane, very soft.
Oh.
Titans are on the road at the LA Chargers. LA Chargers -3, Titans 3. One likes to pass, one likes to run. I'm going to go Titans +3 on the road.
Okay, and I'll take the home team.
-3.
-3.
Probably a good idea there.
Yep.
Bengals rolling pretty good. They're on the road at the Bucks, and a lot of respect as always for Tom Brady. Bucks are only 3.5 dogs, so interesting line there. I'm going to. I don't think the Bucks. I still don't think they're good. I think they're getting better. I think they're trying. Brady and they're getting better, but Bengals. But I'm buying them down to half. If it's a 3 and a hook, I'm going to buy them down 3.
Okay. Bengals are playing tough. Joe Burrow's starting to fire on all cylinders. Jamar Chase is back. I go Bengals.
They're starting to roll the line.
They really are.
A lot better. So that's an interesting line to me. That's one of those Vegas squeaker lines. Washington Commanders, the Commandos as I call them, -4.5 against my Giants. Taking some money this week, actually. I'm going Giants. This is a playoff implication game. That's my team. And I think the Giants are going to win the game, but that's just my heart. That's not my head talking. But if you're going to give me 4.5 in the betting, I watched the game where they tied. It was very even. Saquon's been a little injured, but the Giants around that are getting a lot healthier. These two teams just played a couple weeks ago. I see it as a close game. 4.5 Giants.
I go with the Giants all the way.
And then I believe our last game of the week, our Monday night special, Packers at Rams. Baker Mania on the road at the Packers. Honestly, I don't know if the Packers could do it. I haven't looked at the math. They seem like a team that could squeak in at the very end. So just as bad as the year has been, as much drama as Rodgers and them has been, I'm going to take the 7 points at home. You could see it a little bit closer. I think the Cinderella story last week on the short week with Baker Mania is over. Snow is already being shoveled, I'm sure, as we speak. Packers -7.
All right, I'm going to take Baker. I'm going to go against the Packers.
So Baker Mania.
I'm going with Baker Mania. I think it continues. So, excellent. Well, thank you very much, Patrick. Good picks, excellent analysis. Folks, give you a little score update. It looks like right now Ferris State just scored another touchdown. They're going to follow with a 1-point conversion, so it may be, or actually, it looks like he missed it. It's 13-0. Ferris State versus Colorado State School of Mines. I'm hoping they come out strong in the second half and do some stuff because we would love a national championship in Golden. Folks, we are at Brothers Bar and Grill at the Shops of Northfield. We talked about the new TVs. We talked a little bit about some of the drink specials. There's plenty of them. I can't even go through and list them all. Seth is here. He is bartending. He's downstairs. It's a little brisk, but we have brand new TVs that are state-of-the-art on the outside as well. These are glare reduction TVs, meaning that as the sun comes down on them, you can still see it. They really work well. So you can walk outside if you're a smoker. You're allowed to smoke out there. And even if you just want to get a breath of fresh air and watch some Christmas shoppers, please go out there. Remember, we are filming and taping this show every single Saturday up here in the mezzanine section, which is just the upstairs portion of Brothers Bar and Grill. One other mention of a business that has helped our program is Forever Green Farms out of Ithaca, New York. My friend Scott Howard has an evergreen company. He will dig trees and send them to you anywhere in the country. Please reach Scotty at 607-227-3500. He can get you any kind of tree from 8-footers all the way up to 35-footers. They will be digging this spring. They're taking orders today. So look for that. Patrick, what do you got going on this week? Where are you flying to?
Nothing at the moment. I got pups sit. I did Boston and the Avs game with my buddy who's a Boston fan last week. I did Rangers Avs on Friday. I did the football game Sunday. So this was more of a take it easy before the holiday week.
Yes.
Nothing much. Probably heading back the road here soon, and I'll be flying on Christmas Day, so everybody can make it to see their families. And pretty much this is when the seasons change. This is a big day because today and Saturday you got college bowls, you got NFL, you got NCAA basketball. Amazing lines going on there, and it's really getting revved up again as the spring will be around the corner for more bets, as we know.
Absolutely. Excellent.
Big turnover in the Vikings game. Looks like they just made it in. Going to be 23-6, 23-7. So maybe Vikings make a comeback. And
you can hear the Vikings fans in the background. We have a lot of Vikings fans that come in.
We may even try to split this up a little bit to where we could give you analysis. Like he's very good at the analysis and breaking it down. I'm very good at I like to do the lines. So we may have to kind of give you a little sideshow on spreads and then kind of maybe the caps of what's going on, recaps and previews, especially with our college hockey. We love our college hockey. So he broke it down this week for me. I had no time. You and the family staying home for Christmas?
We are spending the day. The holidays here. We're having some people over to the house. If you're in town, if you have no place to go, you're more than welcome to come over to my casa.
What you cooking?
We are doing, I believe, ham and a little bit of prime rib on Christmas Day. So we got a little ham on Christmas Eve and a little bit of steak on Christmas Day.
I guess we got to end it with Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Everybody be safe out there, and the New Year's is around. May your picks be winners, and like you always finish.
That's right. Get out there on your side hustle, folks. A lot of you are doing side gigs. Remember to earn it. Get out there and make that money and spend it on your loved ones over this Christmas season. Thank you very much for tuning in. Again, thank you to the LinkedIn crowd and Getter crowd, Rumble, all you guys out there. Thank you for your comments. Watch for us. Feel free to go back to our older shows. You can go to our channel on YouTube, Dr. Jimbo Love Show Remote on YouTube. All right? Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we will see you next week